Good morning. I follow like 7 people on Twitter. And all of them are related to a particular man, and sometimes something he posts pops up. And I opened it and read it. And then all these fighting posts popped up. So I'm in a real place at the moment. So let's see if Plato can. Let's hope Socrates and Callicles don't fight in the same way that people are fighting on Twitter. Callicles. What charming innocence! By temperate you mean simpletons. Day 15 of Gorgias. Socrates. How could I? Everybody must realize that that is not my meaning. Callicles. Most certainly it is, Socrates. Why, how could a man be happy when a slave to anybody at all? How could a woman be happy when a slave to anybody at all? No, but the naturally noble and just is what I now describe to you with all frankness. Namely, that anyone who is to live aright should suffer his appetites to grow to the greatest extent and not check them. Yeah, that doesn't feel right. And through courage and intelligence should be competent to minister to them at their greatest and to satisfy every appetite with what it craves. But this, I imagine, is impossible for the many. Hence they blame such men through a sense of shame to conceal their own impotence. It's actually quite related to what I saw on Twitter. And as I remarked before, they claim that intemperance is shameful, and they make slaves of those who are naturally better. And because they themselves are unable to procure satisfaction for their pleasures, they are led by their own cowardice to praise temperance and justice. For to those whose lot it has been from the beginning to be the sons of kings, or whose natural gifts enable them to acquire some office or tyranny or supreme power, what in truth could be worse and more shameful than temperance and justice? For though at liberty without any hindrance to enjoy their blessings, they would themselves invite the laws, the talk, and the censure of the many to be masters over them. And surely this noble justice and temperance of theirs would make miserable wretches of them, if they could bestow no more upon their friends than on their enemies, and that too when they were rulers in their own states. But the truth, Socrates, which you profess to follow is this: luxury and intemperance and license, when they have sufficient backing, are virtue and happiness, and all the rest is tinsel, the unnatural catchwords of mankind, mere nonsense and of no account. This is so spot on what is going on in my mind. I don't even want to talk about it. Socrates. You make a brave attack, Callicles, with so frank an outburst, for clearly you are now saying what others may think, but are reluctant to express. I entreat you, therefore, on no account, to weaken, in order that it may really be made plain how life should be lived. And tell me, you say we should not curb our appetites if we are to be what we should be, but should allow them the fullest possible growth and procure satisfaction with them for whatever source. And this, you say, is virtue. That is what I say. Then those who are in need of nothing are not rightly called happy. No, in that case, stones and corpses would be supremely happy. Having mode, having mode, having mode. Well, life as you describe it is a strange affair. I should not be surprised, you know, if Euripides was right when he said, "Who knows if life be death, and death be life?" And perhaps we are actually dead. For I once heard one of our wise men say that we are now dead, and that our body is a tomb, and that that part of the soul in which dwells the desires is of the nature to be swayed and to swift to and fro. And so some clever fellow, a Sicilian perhaps, or Italian, writing in allegory by a slight perversion of language, named this part of the soul a jar, because it can be swayed and easily persuaded, and the foolish he calls the uninitiate, and that part of the soul in foolish people where the desires reside, the uncontrolled and unretentive part. He likened to a leaky jar because it can never be filled. It sounds like Gnosticism to me. My hair looks really beautiful today, if I must say so myself. And in opposition to you, Callicles, he shows that of those in Hades, the unseen world he means, these uninitiate must be the most unhappy, for they will carry water to pour into a perforated jar in a similarly perforated sieve. And by the sieve, my informant told me, he means the soul, and the soul of the foolish he compared to a sieve, because it is perforated and through lack of belief and forgetfulness, unable to hold anything. These ideas may naturally seem somewhat absurd, but they reveal what I want to put before you, to persuade you, if I can, to retract your view and to choose in place of an insatiable and uncontrolled life the life of order that is satisfied with what at any time it possesses. But do I persuade you to change and admit that orderly folk are happier than the undisciplined? Or even if I offer many other such allegories, will you not withdraw an inch? That is more like the truth, Callicles says. So, the propositions that is forming inside of me has a name already. I think I've found the name in Merleau-Ponty or in sorry. No. No. Oh. Michael Poliani. So it's either Michael Poliani or Merleau-Ponty that I found the name in. The metaphysics of the body. I'm trying to do away with figments of my imagination. Bring the sacred back to earth. So the Gnosticism, as is here portrayed, that the body is just a jar, a broken jar. Does not feel quite right either. It's all about the having mode and being mode, isn't it? Maybe I've been too influenced by Viveki, but they are worse influences to have. I do think that which is being born in me will be non-theism. And I had to think here of, John always says, two of the most fundamental desires human beings have is for real. To know that they are actually in touch with reality. And peace, inner peace. And I'm not sure that just feeding every appetite you have because you have the money and the power to do so, like people on a certain island did. The dude is dead now, I think. I'm very not in touch with world affairs. I'm quite sure, I think he committed suicide, or committed suicide in prison, or I don't know. I don't know if that gives you peace, or a sense of being in touch with reality, for that matter. Come then, Socrates says, let me offer you another image from the same school as the last. The Sicilian or the Italian, I guess. Consider whether you would say this of each type of life, the temperate and the undisciplined. Imagine that, I wonder if this temperate is Sophrosyn or the other one. Imagine that each of the two men has several jars. In the one case, in sound condition, and filled. One with wine, another with honey, another with milk, and many others with a variety of liquids, but that the sources of these liquids are scanty and hard to come by, procured only with much hard labor. Imagine then that the one, after filling his vessel, does not trouble himself to draw any further supplies, but as far as the jars are concerned is free from worry. In the case of the other man, the sources, as in the first instance, are procurable but difficult to come by. But his vessels are perforated and unsound, and he is ever compelled to spend day and night in replenishing them. This makes a lot of sense to me. If he is not to suffer the greatest agony. If this is the character of each of the lives, do you still insist that the life of the uncontrolled man is happier than that of the orderly? Do I or do I not persuade you with the image that the disciplined life is better than the intemperate? This is very good. But yeah, some people's resources are unlimited, basically. Oh God, we're fucked up. We fucked up so badly. Callicles, you do not, Socrates. The man who has filled these vessels can no longer find any pleasure. But this is what I just now described as living this life of a stone. The words of a friend of mine comes to mind, which is completely out of context, quoting her. Be the fucking rock. Once the vessels are filled, there is neither pleasure nor pain anymore. But a life of pleasure demands the largest possible influx. And my mind is all over the place. I'm thinking this is all so hopeless. Then I'm singing as well. I hope you feel less hopeless than I do.